if you're actually like the YouTube turbo man, though, put on your mic, man. Say something. Show some love.
Well, what's good, man? What's good?
Yo.
So today I will be sharing my 3 best GRAU class setups, but actually there's a bonus. I'm actually going to be sharing 4 because top 4 just sounds kind of weird. So I just put 3, you know, just for title purposes, so it sounds nice. I'm pretty much going to be covering a class setup for every single playstyle, just like we have been doing in the past 2 episodes. If you guys missed my M4 or MP5 top 5 class setups, be sure to check those out. Links will be in the description down below. So today we're going to be going over a stealth class setup, an aggressive class setup, a balanced class setup, as well as, of course, a Warzone class setup. And all of these setups are amazing, and I know you guys are gonna enjoy it. If you guys do end up enjoying this video, consider leaving a like at the end of this video and let me know in the comments down below which weapon I should cover next. Make sure to subscribe so you can find your way back to the channel, especially if you're part of this demographic right here who does watch my videos, but you just haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Join Turbo Nation today, make it official, and help me on my way to 100,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could join me along for the journey. All right, so starting things off with the suppressor class setup. So as you know, I always explain how you should be using each class setup. For a suppressor class setup, you want to play a little bit more flanky, you want to flank around the map, you want to stick to the outskirts, and you want to attack the enemies from behind. That is the definition of being stealth, because you're being sneaky and you're taking the opponents by surprise. So for the muzzle, we are running with the monolithic suppressor. Of course, this cannot be a stealth class setup without this component right here. This one's going to give us that sound suppression, and another pro that you get as a 2-for-1 is the damage range. Now there are some cons here of aim down sight speed as well as aim walking steadiness, but those are really not to be alarmed about because we are going to be putting on other attachments that mitigate those negatives. Now for the barrel, this is probably one of my favorite barrels, and that's going to be the ZLR Drifter A08. This one gives you that aim down sight speed, movement speed, as well as recoil control. You get a 3-for-1 in this attachment, and this attachment is really great for flanking and staying stealthy, because when you flank, you think about running around the map, you think about sticking to the outskirts, you have to be on the run. So this is the best barrel attachment that's going to allow you to move around the map as fast as you possibly can, as well as snap on your enemies when needed. And that's why I really like the Drifter barrel with this suppressor class setup. Now there's a few cons of damage range, but that's why we put the monolithic, so that we can increase that damage range once again. And there is a con of bullet velocity, but quite frankly, the GRAU is such a god tier weapon that you don't even really notice these negatives when you're using the weapon. All right, so moving on to the stock, the no stock attachment. This one's going to give us even more movement speed as well as aim down sight speed. Now the reason why we're using the no stock attachment is because we are also going to be using the ammunition 60 round magazine. So this one is definitely going to hinder our aim down sight speed as well as movement speed, but with the no stock attachment, we will be able to mitigate that, and we're essentially going to be able to flank on the fly, be as stealthy as we possibly can while maintaining that mobility and agility. And the last attachment is going to be the XRK Void the second. So this is pretty much a stippled grip tape. It gives you that aim down sight speed as well as sprint to fire speed pros. This is going to be important when you're flanking around the map and you're in those close quarter combat situations. XRK Void is definitely going to bail you out and give you a fighting chance to at least win that gunfight. And another component to this class setup is going to be your perks. So you're going to want to run EOD, because when you're flanking around the map, there's nothing worse than dying to somebody's random claymore. EOD is a must-have when you're flanking around the map. It will save you a lot of unneeded deaths. Now for perk 2, of course, we're running with Ghost. This one's going to help us stay undetected when the enemy's calling those UAVs. Very, very essential to staying stealth. Now for perk 3, we are running with Tracker. when you're flanking around the map, you're sticking to the outskirts, you're most likely going to be by yourself and deep in enemy territory. So when you do see those footsteps light up on the floor, make sure you follow it with caution. Don't just run right away into it, because you might come across multiple enemies at a time that you may not be able to handle. So always when you see those footsteps, follow it, but make sure it's safe before you go for the kill. And that's why I really like Tracker. It really complements that flanking type of play style. Now, the dead silence field upgrade is going to be very important as well. As soon as you get that, always pop it on, because you're going to be behind enemy lines, and the worst thing that you want to happen is that your footsteps get heard. So pop that dead silence right away. All right, so moving on to my hybrid class setup. So this one, like I said earlier, is going to be more for the aggressive type of player, but if needed, you could also use this weapon to compete from long range. So it's pretty much a perfect 2-in-1. Like I said earlier, it's by nature an AR, but with the certain attachments, you can make it a pocket SMG and run and gun with it. For the barrel, we are going to be using that XRK Season MK2 barrel. This one's going to give us more damage range and bullet velocity. This is going to allow our bullets to connect even more when we're engaging in gunfights. It also has the least amount of cons as well. It only has an aim down sight speed con, which is okay, because of course we are going to be putting other attachments that mitigate that negative. So for stock, of course, if we're playing aggressive and we're playing up close and personal, we got to use the no stock attachment for more movement speed as well as aim down sight speed. Rear grip, of course, we got to run with the XRK Void the second for more aim down sight speed as well as sprint to fire speed. And for ammunition, we are running with the 60 round magazine. We need as much ammo as we possibly can when we're going up against multiple enemies at a time, or we're rushing their spawn. Last thing we want to do is run out of ammo, and having 60 round magazines definitely gives you a lot more insurance. Now for the underbarrel, we are going to be using the Merc foregrip. This will allow you to challenge enemies from long range as well as hip fire more accurately in close quarter combat situations. All right, so for perks, perk 1 is going to be optional. You can put whatever you want. You can either run with double time if you want to rush around the map even harder. You can run with EOD if you want to take less damage from explosives. You could run with kill chain or quick fix, you know, depending on your confidence as a player yourself. If you feel like you can stack those kill streaks, then by all means use kill chain. Or if you feel like you're going to be rushing way too hard and you're the type of player to challenge multiple enemies at a time, quick fix is certainly an option for you. But for me personally, I like running with EOD because I hate dying off a kill streak to something stupid like somebody's random claymore or some type of explosive that kills me off of my streak. That's why I run with EOD, just for that extra insurance. Now for perk 2, you are going to want to run with the restock perk. This one's going to allow you to restock your equipment over the course of 25 seconds. And for perk 3, we are going to be using shrapnel. This is a really deadly combination for those aggressive type of players. You can keep tossing your C4s at multiple enemies, and it will take out enemies who have EOD if you throw 2 C4s at a time. It's extremely helpful, especially also having 2 of your stim shots, and always having it restocked throughout the course of your entire gameplay is very helpful, and it allows you to keep on rushing and moving along the map. All right, and for the third class setup, we are going to be talking about the balanced class setup. So again, this is more for the reserve type of player, and this will actually beam from long distance. You want to use this on medium to larger type of maps, but if you end up wanting to use it on a smaller type of map, make sure to pre-aim very often around those corners, and don't try to rush too hard with it, because you will lose, because that aim down sight speed is going to keep you at a minimum. Now the key thing that I do want to highlight about this class setup that makes it so well balanced is that it's the perfect mix of being stealthy, also giving you as much damage range as you possibly can without really hindering your mobility too much. So there is some mobility with this class setup, as well as the ability to beam people from long range. So for the muzzle, I'm rocking with the monolithic suppressor. You guys already know this one. It gives you more sound suppression and damage range. Then for the barrel, we are running with the Tempest 26.4-inch Archangel barrel. Man, that was a mouthful, but this barrel is really great on medium to large maps. And even if you want to play on ground war, this would definitely be great. I will be talking about my Warzone class setup in a little bit, because it's going to be slightly different. And I know you guys are probably talking about that Nexus barrel and why I'm not using it. The Archangel barrel is sufficient enough for multiplayer. You don't need the Nexus barrel, because the Nexus barrel definitely does give you the largest amount of cons as far as aim down sight speed and movement speed. Remember, we're trying to get a good amount of damage range without really penalizing ourselves too much and not being able to move around the map as fast or aim down round sight. Multiplayer is a very fast-paced type of game mode, so of course you want to keep those negatives to a minimum as much as possible. All right, so for stock, we're running with the no stock attachment, and for the rear grip, we are running with the XRK Void II once again, and for ammunition, we are running with the 60 round magazine. All right, so for perks, you can use whatever perks you want to, but for me personally, I pretty much keep it the same 3 perks. If I'm not running an aggressive class setup, EOD, Ghost, and Tracker seem to keep me alive the longest. It's a perfect combination of that insurance of not dying to random explosives, not dying because I was exposed on the enemy UAV, and also seeing a lot of footprints around me that I didn't know were there lets me know that there's an enemy nearby, and I no longer have to be surprised. These are my main 3 perks that I run with, but like I said, you can run with any perk that you want to. All right, so now let's move on to the bonus Warzone class setup. This one's set up just a little bit differently. So for the muzzle, we are running with the monolithic suppressor. Again, we want to stay as stealthy as we possibly can. We want to keep our shots as silent as we possibly can. We don't want to be tracked down by enemies in Warzone. And for the barrel, we are running with that 20.8-inch Nexus barrel. So this one is absolutely deadly in Warzone. This one will help you beam a lot of enemies from long distance without any recoil whatsoever. This is pretty much a 0 recoil class setup. It's going to give us that damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control that we need in order to win those gunfights in Warzone. Now in this particular class setup, I'm actually not using a stock, and there's a reason why, because if we look at what kind of stocks there are offered on the GRAU, like the Blackjack, it gives you aiming stability, which is pretty much worthless, or XRK Strike Light III, which gives you aim walking movement speed, which is also worthless in Warzone, because not often you're gonna be getting into those type of gunfights where you're strafing left and right. It's pretty much, you're gonna be beaming people from a distance, and you don't really need that. And the no stock is just going to ruin your recoil control. That's why I'm not putting any stock on it at all. And yes, I know that the GRAU is pretty much a laser from long distance, but if you want that extra security to be able to get that 0 recoil status, don't put a stock on it at all. The next attachment is going to be the XRK Void II, just to be able to help out with that mobility and that sprint to fire speed. And for the ammunition, of course, we got to run with 60 round magazines. We need as much ammo as we possibly can to be able to win those gunfights, especially since you're engaging at long distance. If your aim is not good, you're probably going to be missing a lot of shots, and you never want to get caught reloading in the middle of a gunfight because they will take you out. Now for the underbarrel, this one you are going to be running the Commando foregrip. This one is actually going to be helping you control that side to side recoil that the GRAU has, which will allow you to laser in on your enemies, giving you a much more accurate shot from distance. Now for the secondary, I'm running with the RPG. So having the RPG is really useful to just launch into buildings where I know enemies are, or try to get people from long distance in those end game situations, or simply just destroy a bunch of cars who are trying to run you over. It's extremely helpful. That's why I run with the RPG. Now for perks, this one's also very important. You got to stay as stealthy as possible. You got to run that cold-blooded perk. And for perk 2, you got to run Ghost. A lot of people are spamming UAVs. It's so easy to get spotted and tracked down if you're not running Ghost. And for perk 3, I'm running with that Amped so that we can reload our RPG that much faster and switch our weapons, as well as use equipments that much faster in Warzone, because you don't want to get slowed down. You want to be able to speed up everything in the process so you can keep moving along as you play throughout the game. Now for lethal, I'm going to be running with that C4. And if you're playing solos, I recommend using the heartbeat sensor. It's really helpful towards the end game situations. What's more helpful is also going to be a flash or a stun grenade to be able to freeze your opponents momentarily so that you can rush towards them and get the kill. So yeah guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my top best GRAU class setups. If you did, make sure to leave a like. It shows me that this is the content that you want to continue to see. Let me know in the comments down below which weapon you want me to cover next. And if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe so you can make your way back to the channel. What are you waiting for, man? Join Turbo Nation. Make it official today. We're on the way to 95,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you guys can join me along with this journey. I really appreciate all the support that you guys have been showing on the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And that's about it. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Surprise, mother...